What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
Welcome back. It's Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Josh Levine. My guest today, hilarious comic Jimmy O. Yang. I don't know if you've seen Jimmy. He describes his look as a hot Asian chick. You might know him from the show Silicon Valley, where he plays Jian Yang, or from his stand-up around the country, or maybe the Arsenio Hall Show. He's going to give us some great stories of his pretty quick rise in the comedy world, how he's been able to kind of leapfrog maybe other comics on his way up, and how he decides when to use race in his comedy. He also gives us a great life lesson: never ask for stage time. I'm sure we can think of a lot of scenarios where that applies in life. And now, Jimmy O. Yang. So I was just saying, like, I must have came in like 98 with Dub C, and like, you know, I've been listening to the show forever, and like, and then you walk in and it's just this little ass room.
Yeah, it's a very small operation.
But yeah, no idea. Like, and for me, like, I mean, I've been to radio stations as a manager, but you have this built up in your mind, like, what this thing's gonna be.
Right, and like Drew and Adam's, like, these people up here, they're just dudes.
They're just sitting there. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So you used to be a music manager?
Yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I was a hip hop journalist and then a manager.
Oh yeah, I read a little bit about that on the PDF.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was kind of my old life.
My old life, well, you seem like you have some success managing Dub C and stuff. When I was in college, I used to like make beats.
Did you?
For like hip hop and stuff. I sold some beats online, but like I never like.
Where'd you go to school?
UCSD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Nice.
then after that, that's when I started stand up. I realized that wasn't for me.
Really?
I just wasn't that great at it. I was okay. I didn't want to sit in the studio for like 8-10 hours.
Right.
I want to be in the front, you know.
I think you gotta love that. Like I don't know that you have to actually be very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, listen to like shit that's out there. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
But you gotta love it. You gotta like love fucking sitting there and looking at buttons.
Yeah. And then after that, go push your music or promote it or something.
Yeah.
I like that to a certain degree, but after like 8-10 hours, it's just too much, you know.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I used to hate going to the studio with.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because you just sit there and they're like, oh, let's do that again.
Right.
Like, this fucking, because I didn't have nothing to do. I was a manager. I'm like, you know, I'm either
sitting there.
making calls or I'm just sitting there.
Who else did you rep?
And then so I started. So I managed the Baker Boys, who at the time were afternoon radio guys, Power 106.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mix show guys, and then producers. So they produced like Volume 10. I don't know if you knew. It's probably before your time.
Yeah.
And then I had this guy who was kind of like, he was, you know, he's kind of a big G-Funk guy, and then he became like, now he's a producer, so he produces for Kanye and
Oh, wow.
E40.
I love that whole
this guy named
G-Funk
Bosco.
era.
Did you?
It's great, man. Yeah.
What kind of music were you making?
Some hip hop. Well, I try to do a lot of the West Coast stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, I can send you some stuff if you want.
Dude, I'll check it out for sure.
It's still fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice.
It's a past life though.
Yeah.
It's just like a novelty thing I tell people now. It's not like some, hey man, check out my beats. Hey, give it to your buddies, you know?
Man, I was listening to Mike Rappaport's show.
Oh yeah.
And he had Tom Green on.
Okay.
And Tom Green had a whole story about he used to be a rapper. He like put a record out.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a funny rapper? Or
No.
actually?
Like they were trying to be like,
that's crazy.
you know, the next third base or some shit.
Wow.
Fourth base, I think it was called.
I think maybe stand up and hip hop is and rap is very close to each other. Or just live performance, and all of us are kind of rejects at some point of society, and then, you know, we go on and do this kind of stuff.
I think so, and I think, like, I mean, definitely the willingness to put yourself out there, that's big.
Yeah.
And the, like, you know, certainly the creativity. But, you know, I think comedians supposedly, maybe you'll bust my bubble on this, but like, there's a storyline for comedians that is very honest.
True. Yeah.
And I think rappers are just fucking liars, right? Like they.
Well, I think it's the same, right? There are comics that are liars that make stuff up, but it's not funny.
Right.
Like, it's only funny when it's true, when it's come from your point of view, or else it either becomes kind of general, kind of hack.
Sure.
Or it's just not funny. Like, if you just make stuff up, it's not funny. Like, it's only funny when somebody in the audience is like, oh my God, that's so true. That happened to me. Or like, I think about that. That's when the truth and the funny really comes in,
But see, so hip hop used to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And not to, like, I know I'm, I always end up in the old guy role.
I mean, I get it.
But it's not a complaint, right? But hip hop used to be like that, and when I remember when 50 Cent came out, and people were like, "Oh, it's so like
clubby,
commercial." So like, and they were like, "But he got shot 9 times, so his shit is real."
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, so you would buy into it.
That was a real thing, right? If you get shot, it was a big
it was a thing, right?
Lift.
And so, and to your point, right? So it's stuff that either happened to you, or it's your point of view that's informed by real experiences, but it's not that anymore. No one cares.
Really?
I don't think so.
Nobody cares about being shot, or nobody cares
No, I think you care
anything?
if you're the one being shot, but I don't think anyone cares about rappers like credibility.
Now it's all the beat, right? It's a producer's game.
Yeah, but it's also it's look, like everyone's happy with Drake. He's white. He's fucking a nice kid, like nice Jewish boy, whatever. Everyone's like, cool, that's fine. Like that couldn't have happened, and I'm not shitting on Drake, but that couldn't have happened 10, 20 years ago.
No, I don't think so.
He would have just been rejected,
right?
From the jump, he wouldn't have gotten. No one would have given him a shot. You know what I mean? And I don't know, but I'm excited to have you here, man. Thanks for Thanks for responding to my cold email.
No problem, dude.
I've been following you. I don't know. I think from the Laugh Factory YouTube page.
Oh wow, crazy.
And because I love comedy and I love discovering, not that I discovered you, but I discovered you for myself.
For sure. No, that's awesome, man.
And so and then I've started watching all your stuff from there. So
thanks,
that's dope, man. I'm happy to have you.
Power of YouTube.
That's right.
Yeah.
How is that? Like, is that? Well, I got a lot of questions, but I don't want to start there. But so I always take me back to the beginning, and so you were just saying before comedy, you were making music.
I was trying to make some beats, selling online.
Were you always into music as a kid?
I played the violin because I was Asian,
right?
So it wasn't really my choice. I didn't really like it, but I was pretty good, even though I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And
then you performed.
Not like crazy, just like practice at home. And then in high school, I joined the orchestra.
Okay.
And then there was the chamber orchestra, it's super nerdy stuff.
Yeah. That's good for the chicks.
Right. Yeah, well, maybe not so much for me. So at the end, towards the end of high school, I really got into hip hop with my buddies.
Yeah.
And then one of my buddies, he got, I think he got, what's that program called? Acid or something?
Yeah.
So he started making beats, chopping up beats on Acid. And then I was like, oh, I want to do that. And I think I can do that better than him. So then I got like Fruity Loops, and then I ended up buying the MPC and stuff like that. Really got into it. Really, it just became like an obsession. I did that all the way through college.
What got you into hip hop?
I don't know. I guess, so I came to this country when I was 13,
yeah.
Right? In Hong Kong, like, you just listen to a lot of, like, kind of like R&B-ish stuff, like the local Hong Kong stuff, or China, Japan, or something like that. And then when I came here, all this music was new to me.
Is it like I'm familiar with J-pop? Is it like that kind of thing happening in Hong Kong?
It's like Hong Kong pop, maybe.
Yeah, but similar.
Yeah, if that's a thing. HK pop. Something like that.
Pop
It's very
HK.
Slow, just love songs and things like that. It's not as ridiculous as,
And did you have, how much American music were you exposed to?
Just the very popular stuff. Same thing with movies, right? Like, you get the Michael Jacksons, you get the Stallones, the Schwarzeneggers.
So what was the first record that, you remember,
American record, I still remember my dad on like in his car, he always played the Eagles. I think it was a compilation live tape called Hell Freezes Over. It was like the best of the Eagles.
For sure.
Great songs. I love it, and that was very easy to listen to.
Right.
Because my dad will always be the old man complaining about everything being too loud.
Right.
So the acoustic guitar and everything, like he loved all those guys.
Yeah.
So that was one of my early exposures, and of course Michael Jackson and Prince, Madonna, all those really popular stuff.
Yeah.
So now when I came to America, I was kind of familiar with the pop stuff, like Britney Spears, all that. But then the group of buddies, I started hanging out with was really into hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know who Tupac or Biggie was when I was like 15, and I really just dove into that. I really got into it. And at the same time, when I was watching a lot of music videos on MTV and BET, Rap City, Big Tig in the Basement, that's when I also kind of got my first start watching stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't any stand-up in Hong Kong.
Right.
So I started watching stand-up.
So is stand-up, I have this vision of stand-up as like an American thing.
Very, very much so. I think it started, now they have it a little bit in Hong Kong, and obviously there's a boom in England and, Australia and all that. But I think it all started in America.
Mm-hmm. It just seems like a hard... Like, I haven't been to Hong Kong, but my dad lives in Beijing. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What does he do there?
That's another show, but he's actually a country singer.
Wow.
In Beijing.
In Beijing. Does he sing in Mandarin?
He writes his own songs in English mostly, and then he'll throw in some like classic, like traditional music that he plays with like a country guitar.
Traditional Chinese music?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
It's wild.
Wow.
It's bizarre stuff. But he's killing it over there. And so anyway, so I was gonna say, like, it's hard to imagine culturally, like, forget about but just culturally, like, people getting up on stage and telling jokes in some of these different cultures, like China, for example.
Yeah, it's a very reserved culture. I mean, they have like a two-man sketch thing, but that was almost like a very old,
like vaudeville
jester, vaudeville type of act that's been around. And stand-up, I don't think really happened until like just a few years ago, and now it's starting to boom a little bit. But even like you're saying, like culturally, right? Like my jokes probably wouldn't translate if I just word by word translate into Mandarin.
Sure.
A lot of stuff, even you look at like when I started watching stand-up, it was BET Comic View. Most of the stuff back in the 2000s and 90s was like, black people do this, white people do that.
Right.
You say that to a Chinese audience, they have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. Maybe you can translate that and remix the whole thing and be like, Chinese people do this and American people do that, from my point of view.
Yeah.
But it doesn't translate. Stereotypes, a lot of it is about stereotype and all that, and it doesn't quite translate. So there is not just a language barrier, but like a cultural barrier.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do want to go back to Hong Kong or China, not necessarily to even do it in Mandarin or Cantonese, but to do it in English and really kind of, take advantage of that whole boom and all that. I think I could do it, but it would just take a lot of time and effort and really focus on writing a new set and a 16-hour flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you're on social, you're a funny Asian dude.
Right.
And so you leverage that, like you're not, but I think that seems to be like race and ethnicity is a very popular comedy topic.
Yeah.
Right. Like whether you're Louis C.K. or whether you're, certainly any ethnic comedian or non-white comedian, like it's hard to think of one who doesn't bring race into their act.
Yeah.
Was that why is that? Like for you, was that a conscious decision to be funny Asian dude as opposed to just funny
That
Jimmy?
was just a funny thing I did. The funny Asian dude thing was kind of catchy. But I mean, with the cultural humor and the race humor, I always enjoy watching BET. I hated all those Comedy Central 30 minutes. I couldn't get through one of them.
Yeah.
But the BET stuff was just so funny to me, and it's so new.
What comedians were you watching it?
Oh man, I think when I was watching, Bruce was hosting, J. Anthony Brown, and then a bunch of really, really funny people. I mean, Ricky Smiley was one of them. He's a big radio guy now, I think. And I don't know. There was a ton of people that I couldn't quite think of on the top of my head. It was only like 5-minute showcases each of them, and I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was, like I said, black people, white people stuff. So when I first start, I think it's also an easy avenue to go to talk about, hey, Asian people do this.
Right.
And you get an easy laugh.
Of course.
And there's, not that many Asian comedians, so there's definitely an angle there.
Yeah.
And when you first start, you want to take advantage of all those Asian showcases at the Ontario Improv.
Right.
You want to do that because you just want to get some stage time.
Of course.
And then as you grow, it becomes I don't just try to like write an Asian joke. I try to write a joke now with my own point of view, my own perspective. But that perspective comes from my experiences of being an Asian man. I can't get away from that. You know what I mean? If I talk about, I don't know, just going to a park, just walking around a park.
Mm-hmm.
My experience walking around a park is different than your experience walking a park. I mean, some of it is because of, the way I carry myself, my personality, my stature, and a lot of it is about my race, who I am. And people say certain things to me because of this race thing. Yeah. So that becomes part of the comedy, but it doesn't. It's not. I try to not make it like solely what it is. It's just my perspective instead of just, hey, I'm Asian.
So how conscious is that for you? Like at what point, like you said, you go to the Asian showcase because it works, right? Because you get stage time, right? And then you need the easy laughs, right? The easy wins,
especially
right?
when you first start,
of course. So like, is there a point that you remember that you're like, okay, I gotta write a like non-Asian joke, or like I gotta expand my repertoire? Is that?
I'm not sure if there was like a point. Like it wasn't like, oh man, I was at this showcase for diversity and I failed, and now this snapped me back into judgment. Whatever it is, it's not that necessarily. It's just I think as you grow as a comic, you learn more and more about stand-up. Yeah. You see what's going on around you. You're more familiar with the world, and you become a harder critic on yourself. Yeah. So, I mean, part of a set, right? Like right now, like say I'm headlining, I'll do 45 to an hour or something like that. But when you first start, it's 5 to 10 minutes. Right. So you just do your best stuff. Yeah. And then as you come up with new jokes, it's like my buddy, I think Greg Wilson said this. It's like making an all-star team. Mm-hmm. You have 10 minutes. You have 10 people on your roster. And you try to have the new, better jokes replace the older jokes. So now, with an hour, you're still doing that, but in a bigger scale. So there's still jokes that I tell in the 45 minutes or an hour that is pretty old, and I would want to phase them out, but it's a process. I can't just phase them out with a new shitty joke that's not ready. I gotta try out the new stuff, and it's constant trial and error until you get a new joke that's ready, and then you can replace it in that set on something that you're just tired of, saying, like it bores you. Yeah.
Yeah. So go back though. So you were making music in college.
Yeah.
What were you gonna do? What was the career gonna be before comedy? Were you thinking
I wanted
music?
I wanted to be a rapper.
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't, right?
Yeah.
Back in the 2000s, coming up as a teenager. So I wanted to be a rapper. Obviously, I couldn't rap, and not obviously, but I just couldn't rap. There's a bunch of actually great Asian rappers. Yeah. My buddy Jian is awesome.
Sure. Yeah, we know Jian.
He actually moved to Hong Kong a few years ago and killed it, and then came back here. Anyway, so I just couldn't rap personally. And I mean, I don't look gangster. I'm like the opposite of that. So I have no street cred whatsoever.
Yeah, so like say maybe that's your thing.
Maybe that's my maybe now I can do it.
You're the Asian Macklemore.
yeah, maybe, yeah. When I was growing up, people thought I was gay.
Right.
That would be
that's a good song.
That would be a good line. Yeah.
That's a song title.
Right. Maybe my thing would be when I was growing up, people thought I was a girl, something like that. So I realized I couldn't rap, but I had a lot of buddies that were like, encouraging me to make the beat. I was getting pretty good. You grind enough in a studio, you're gonna get good at this beat making thing. And then I got pretty good to a point I was able to sell beats for like a few $100 online, which is a big deal for like a college kid, you know? Sure. So I thought that could be a career, and I kept pursuing it. I think I would have gotten somewhere with it, but it got to a point where I couldn't sit in the studio for 8 hours a day, whereas the studio is my home or actual studio or my buddy's house. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. I needed to be more social. I needed to make new friends. I wanted the front stage attention, So I started phasing that off just because I was getting depressed doing
So
it.
most people, like you try to be like Puffy, like you're just jumping up on stage with your artists. And
Right,
in the video.
coming out of your left, your headphones saying,
Right.
yeah, do it, yeah,
Exactly.
another one. So I mean, I wanted to be that guy. That's the only guy I could have been, but
Yeah.
it's not quite satisfying in that sense. You
I
know?
get it.
So
For sure.
as I was phasing that, I still wanted to do something creative.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled into stand-up comedy. I was just bored, and I needed to make new friends. So I went to the Haha Comedy Club here in North Hollywood to do the open mics. You got to pay $5 for 5 minutes in front of
Nice.
like 5 other stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
You know, just to do, just to grind it out.
Right.
But I didn't care. I didn't care if I didn't get laughs. I didn't care if, it was a long drive or anything. I just wanted to make friends, and I was.
Yeah.
So I was actually a pretty good public speaker. I didn't have any like stage fear. So that kind of worked out towards my advantage. And I kept doing it when I went back to college in San Diego. Stayed there for a couple years, grinding it out.
And doing
how I
stand-up.
doing stand-up. And that's how I got my start. And then I moved back to LA.
And so at what point did you decide or realize like that this would be a career?
When I graduated college, so I started stand-up maybe my junior year or something, and I was an econ major. Just because that was like a pretty safe major, coming from an Asian family. It's either engineering, doctor, or like,
Right.
something respectable like finance.
Sure.
So I got an internship at Smith Barney,
Okay.
which is a pretty big, like, nice-sounding financial consulting firm, but I just hated it. I just couldn't, like, see myself working there at all. I'm still interested in the stock market and all that, but as a career, as a job, I would just kill myself if I had to do that.
Yeah.
So I didn't take a job offer or anything like that after college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I started working at a comedy club in San Diego, and that was really the only thing I really, really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, my goal was just to maybe scrap together enough money that I can pay rent doing this. Like get a college agent,
Right.
do some shitty college shows once a month,
Yeah.
just so I can live off of this, and then
Yeah.
I can figure it out, whatever my next step is.
Yeah.
It never, I guess maybe in the back of my mind, it was like, this is it. But it wasn't that. It was more like, well, this is the only thing I can do that I enjoy doing. So let's grind it out until I figure something else out. But eventually I was lucky enough to like have that be my career, you know, and that figuring itself out in some sense,
What was that first show like?
The first like open mic.
Yeah.
I remember I wrote like 5 minutes of material. It was like really hack, jokes. Usually when a dude comedian starts, it's about masturbating or something.
Right.
I got some laughs, but it was like cringy or like, real pandering laughs. I remember it was about, I did a bit about masturbating. Like I'm too overstimulated. Like people have like computers in front of you and a TV next to you.
Right.
Like I'm masturbating on one end and then like I'm about to like come and then the TV says Michael Vick just scored a touchdown and I end up like jerking off to Michael Vick. So, it's kind of funny, but it's like a really hack joke
Yeah,
in
I
some
get it.
sense. But it got some laughs that got me encouraged, and it was just fun to do, and it was stuff that I wanted to talk about, just be silly.
Well, I asked because you said you went in there not expecting anything,
Right.
but like, how much did it affect you? Like once you're up there and you get some laughs and like,
Yeah, you get some laughs, and for me, one of the main reasons, like I said, it's to make some friends.
yeah,
I realized I was hanging out the same group of friends. Like, I'm not even meeting girls. Like,
Sure.
it's like a dead end with like 5 friends. I mean, they're still my great friends from high
Right.
school, but
Yeah.
we're just playing Madden at home. Like,
Yeah.
we're not doing anything. So just getting out there doing something where people are paying attention, and also, afterwards, like making something. Hey man, you were funny too. Oh man, Hey man, nice to meet you. What's your name? I'll
Right.
see you here next week.
Yeah.
So now, boom, there's some progress in my life.
Yeah.
I'm making some new friends. I have this new hangout, and maybe I can meet some girls doing this. So that was huge. Feeling kind of accepted.
Yeah.
In some sense, and there's
Yeah.
no barrier of entry. So it was very easy in the stand-up world.
Yeah. And so do you? So then you start going, right? Like that. That becomes your thing. Is there somebody showing you the ropes, or are you just figuring it out on your own? Is there like mentors?
Yeah. there's a couple people, especially when I was in San Diego. My buddy Sean Kelly, who's still a mentor of mine till today. He's like a veteran comic, and he was also like a genius businessman.
Yeah.
He he taught me a lot about comedy and like how to just life stuff, business stuff, how to like get ahead in some sense, right? And also that fan. He was a San Diego guy, and I looked up to him a lot. There wasn't too many Asian comics, so he was also a San Diego comedian, and he would come back and forth. And I used to be like, oh my God, that's fucking that fan. Season 1, winner of Last Comic Stand. I looked up to him a lot. And then he helped me out a lot, show me the ropes. I'll just go hang out with him when he's doing a show at Irvine
What kind of stuff you learned from him?
Just how the comedy world kind of works. There's open mics, there's showcases, there's bringer shows. And, really in the beginning, you're not really that funny. To really get stage time, you got to beg for it. Right. Or you book your own show. So you book other comics that are also booking their own shows. So they will in turn book you back. Right. So now it's like you hold their hand, they hold yours, and then now y'all getting some stage time. The most important thing is stage time because that's the thing you need. You need practice to get good. Once you get good, you get to a level where you can get paid. Then it's a different story. But really, comedy comes down to all about stage time, and there's a little desperation about it, and there's a way to carry yourself in a way that you don't really ask for stage time, but you're there in the right places for stage time to be given to you, type of thing. So it's a lot of like nuances in the comedy world that I'm sure is there in the music world, in the producing world, in the radio world, that's there that I just kind of observed and learned from these guys. I
mean, I remember that when I was to a management that, once in a while you'd come across somebody who was just like so desperate. Right. Like, and you almost couldn't even listen to their music, right? Because it just was like, they were like, just give me a shot, like just put me on, And I think, and the reality is that's what everybody was feeling to some extent, right? When you're starting out. Right. But nobody wants to hear that. No, you never, I mean, the rule is you never ask for stage time. I remember one of the first times I was at the Laugh Factory, when I did the show, and Jamie, the owner, came up to me after, just like a little showcase. I was really green, and like, Laugh Factory was like the shit. And then he came and said, hey, man, you're funny, blah, blah, blah. And then I made the cardinal mistake of being a comic. I was like, yeah, anytime you need a comic, man, I'm here, man. I love to come to your show. And he just kind of looked at me, and he walked away. Yeah. And I was like, what happened? Like, what just happened? And then I told another comic about that. He's like, yeah, don't ask for stage time, man. If he's got stage time for you, if he wants you, he'll ask for you, and that works for, really anywhere else. So it's kind of tricky. You can't really ask for it. But it's like girls, right? You can't just go up to a girl and it's like, hey, can I just have sex with you? Right. Like, you can't do that. You got to kind of be there, have her like you first. Like, they're the choosers. Yeah. We feel like we're the choosers, but we're not. You got to have the girl like you first, and then you can have a conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people miss that. And, there's all this emphasis on, like, go for it. Like, and networking. Yeah. If there's an email or anybody invite me to an event and it involves the word networking, I'm not going. Like, there's no way. Yeah. There's a lot of great, funny comics that I've known for years that's been doing it for 10 more years than I have. Yeah. Probably funnier than me, a lot of them. But they just never gone nowhere because they don't know how to carry themselves, or they don't want to spend the time to hang out at certain comedy clubs. And yeah, they just still doing like 5-minute showcase spots or whatever instead of trying to think about the big picture of how to approach this. It's very much a business, and you got to sell yourself in a way that's not desperate. So at what point did you start thinking about all that, about how to approach it as a business? I guess I was always pretty business minded, so I grew a little faster, not just on the funny sense, but like on the business sense, getting to know what the stand-up world is about. I made sure I kind of, when I booked my own shows, I make sure I sold it out so the club owners like me, so they give me extra stage time, things like that, right? And then stand-up for the longest time, it didn't pay. I mean, like how long? How long were you doing it before you started? Oh man, I think probably, well, it's short compared to other people, but about maybe 4 years in, I got a
college agent, and that started paying a little bit. But it was a lot of risk taking because you got to invest in the NACA showcases, which is like the college showcases. You're probably familiar with that. Invest a lot of money in that. Hopefully you get a spot. If you do get a spot, fly yourself out there, showcase. And if the students like you, they give you some dates, right? And then even then, if you get the dates, it doesn't pay much. It says maybe $1,500 on the contract.
Right.
But you got to pay for your own travel. Right. Or at least I did.
Yeah.
Agent takes 15%. Yeah. And then, after all that expenses, you make like $600 a show after traveling 6 hours to New York and driving another 2 hours to, say, I don't know, like Oneonta or something, like some shit, Yeah. And so that was tough, but
shout out to Oneonta.
Yeah, man. Upstate. I think it's upstate. I don't know. But that was tough. It wasn't. I hated doing that. Yeah, but that was the only way for a young comic to make money, because clubs weren't paying anything. You're not a draw. You don't sell tickets. Yeah. Like now, I'm barely starting to go on the road and do some stuff. Because for the longest time, I was trying to build up my credit here in LA, doing TV, stuff like that. So like when I go on the road now, they can say, "Oh, you've seen this guy in Silicon Valley. If you're a fan of the show, you're a fan of this guy. Now come watch him." So now the club owners are more interested, and I got to prove that I can sell tickets, right? But it's very hard to make money as a stand-up. The college thing, I was lucky enough to look young enough and be personable enough for that market. Right. And you could kill at that market. I know people that make six figures in that market, but it's very hard work. You know, you got to do like 100 shows a year, traveling nonstop. Yeah. So that wasn't what I wanted to do, and it became a point where like I was missing auditions in LA for acting stuff, which I knew was going to propel me to the next level of my career, not doing college shows. Right. So I really just had to. So how'd
we get there, right, to acting?
It was a little bit of luck, I think, just like anything else, right? When I moved back to LA, I lived in this dude's living room for like $300 off Craigslist. I literally had like $2,000 in my bank account from working in comedy clubs and stuff like that. So I was pretty desperate, right? Didn't want to get a job as a waiter or anything. Didn't want to get a finance job. Just wanted to do this. And the college shows I would do like once a month, so it's starting to pay a little bit of bills. At least I can pay my rent. Yeah. And then I found an agent. I just wanted, because all my buddies were telling me, yeah, move to LA, man, get a commercial agent, start doing commercials. I did one Chili's commercial. I was just seeing fries in the back, and they kept playing it like hundreds of times, man. And now I got like $60,000 from like one commercial. I was like, what? Yeah. It was unbelievable to me. Yeah. So one of my goals was like to get a college agent so I can do college shows, and to get a commercial agent so I can just book one commercial a year. And that's not hard, right? 365 days, one commercial. Yeah. And then I can just be chilling. And so I was on like those casting sites, right? Like LAcasting.com, Casting Frontier, Actor Access, all that shit. Putting my pictures up there. I didn't have a reel. I didn't have an acting reel, so I just put my stand-up reel on there. I took some acting classes, but I wasn't like fucking a Juilliard graduate of acting, So I remember I just wrote in a comment box of my LA casting profile, like, new in town. Need an agent, Yeah. This is probably where like people encounter those casting couch situations and end up doing porn. Probably. Luckily, I didn't encounter that. But I had like maybe a couple agents. Who knows, man? Could have been a thing. Right. I had a couple agencies hit me up, fortunately. And one of them, I was so bad. I didn't know how to audition. That's in itself a skill, Yeah, sure. I had an agency. It was in a rental management so you know how apartments like Park La Brea have like a rental like management office? Like a rental office, right? Yeah. So this agency, I'm doing quotes with my fingers, this agency rented out this rental office in this fucking shitty apartment in like Studio City, and I went there, and I was hoping to God they would sign me, you know what I mean? And then me read some sides of like a Staples commercial, like Staples, blah, 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 like a spokesperson thing. Yeah. And I was so bad, that rental office agency didn't fucking want me. And I just felt so rejected after 2 or 3 of those. I'm like, fuck it, dude. I'm going to take some acting classes, at least concentrate on stand-up first. And then...
I think it's safe to say they probably didn't know what they probably didn't know.
To be fair, I would have rejected myself also. I was that bad. Like, auditioning is extremely hard if you don't know what you're doing.
I can't imagine.
you know. So then I met this lady, Jane Shulman, my first agent. She had a very small agency, just her, one woman thing, in Manhattan Beach, and she sent me an email. She was like, I think you got a good look, Usually that means you look Asian enough or you look black enough. You got a clear look. Right. I can point, like, I look like an Asian nerd. That so like it kind of works.
Right.
You don't want to be the in-between guy. You either want to be really fat.
Because that's what shows up in the casting sheets, right?
Right. Like you either want to be really fat or really skinny. You don't want to be in the middle guy because nobody's looking for that. You know what I mean? So I met with her, and she didn't have me audition. She was just like, look, I'm going to try to get you out. There's no promises.
Yeah.
And I'll see how they respond and how you do. And you want to do this? I was like, yeah, I ain't got nothing else going on,
right.
Yeah. So I did it, and surprisingly, man, she was really great. She started sending me out little commercials and even like small like guest spots, 2 lines on the TV show.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I was like, holy shit, I can actually do this. Because I never thought I could be an actor. I thought it would be way down the line when I became a really successful comedian that I can maybe transfer to acting.
Sure.
But I didn't think, oh man, now I actually have an opportunity in front of me. I just got to nail these auditions when I say 2 lines on Modern Family or like 2.5 Men or something.
Right.
So then I really started taking it seriously, take acting classes, all that. Like all my money went to acting classes, Yeah. Like my rent was $300, my acting class was $500 a month.
Wow.
So I really hunkered down and started doing that. And the first audition I got that I landed was 2 Broke Girls.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 lines of 2 Broke Girls. So happy, right? Get to join SAG. It was like maybe like $2,800 for the week, which is a lot of money for me. And then after that, I was like, after a couple months of still not working, you auditioning, and you're like, oh, well, that was my only thing. Right. I'm never going to work again. Now at the comedy club, people's going to say, you see Jimmy O Yang from 2 Broke Girls, but when I get on stage, nobody, who the fuck is this guy?
Which one of the broke girls is
Yeah, who is he? He's the 3rd broke girl? Who is this guy? So for the longest time, it did happen that way, and I was panicking, And then I took more and more acting classes, and it led to bigger stuff, 2 lines to like maybe a guest spot with like 3-4 scenes in like Always Sunny.
Yeah.
And then luckily, Silicon Valley came about. That I got. I mean, it was luck, and it was the right place, the right time. Like they needed an Asian guy, right? But they wrote him out of the original pilot, I think. This Jian Yang character. So they never casted him for the original ensemble until episode 3. This resurfaced as a very small role, 2-3 lines. I don't know if you're familiar with the show. It's like me opening the door saying "This Pied Piper." It was literally 3 lines, right?
Right.
So I got that job. I didn't think much of it. Silicon Valley wasn't Silicon Valley back then. It was called a different name too.
Oh, really?
It was before it even aired. It was 3rd episode of the 1st season. They were still shooting. So I went there, and from that small part, I was able to still improv with the guys and all that, and they really liked me, and they kept me around for another episode and another episode. So I did 3 small episodes in the 1st season. And the 2nd episode, I was like crying when this happened. Like they signed me on as a series regular.
Nice.
So I've been there ever since. And it's just such an amazing experience and what has happened to me like on that show, because so many comics, actors that have been acting all their life had went through how many, like George Clooney went through how many failed pilots until he got that, was it General Hospital? ER, right, ER. And it's heartbreaking, man. And I was able to kind of sneak in on the back door and become a series regular on this like Emmy-nominated show.
Yeah, fuck George Clooney.
Right, fuck George Clooney, man. Michael Clayton, I couldn't even understand that movie. No. But so that, and then that it's leading to something else. So it's great. Like with that now, I'm able to progress a lot from where I was maybe just 2 years ago.
So how much does that change the game? Like, it's a big deal to be on Silicon Valley. It's a, respected show, and it's hot and all that, right? And so, like, what does that do internally, externally? Right? Is it just like giving you the confidence, to keep building, or like do you see I know you've done Arsenio, so do those things start happening as a result of Silicon Valley?
Arsenio, I think, was right around the same time.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Silicon Valley started airing yet, but I don't know if that was a direct result, but it was similar. maybe. I don't know. It was a similar time period. But what it led to. Silicon Valley, the great thing about that show is people in the industry watch it.
Right.
So all the casting directors, like, they know. So, you know,
Sure.
like, everybody, like, my agent was like, oh, he's the guy from Silicon Valley. You want to see him for this audition?
Right.
It becomes a pretty easy sell.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm able to get into more rooms and things like that. And now I got a great manager that I got a bunch of stuff that I always wanted to do that I'm now able to do because of this, because I have a platform. I'm writing a book.
Nice.
And going on the road, doing more stand-up. Like I said, now the clubs are more willing to book me because I have a credit that people can recognize me from, and that's like a pretty hot credit. So now I can build my stand-up career on the road. In case, I mean, you never know. The TV, the movie stuff might dry up, right?
Yeah.
And also, this probably could be a direct result from Silicon Valley, or it's also right place, right time. I was the right actor for this. I just shot this movie called Patriots Day.
Yeah.
With Mark Wahlberg. They have a bunch of like great, like amazing actors that I always looked up to. And I get to shoot that in Boston. That was an amazing experience. So maybe that would take it to the next level. And that's very dramatic. It's not quite comedy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So externally, those things like starting to happen, and people are starting to not necessarily know who I am, but like at least familiar with, you know, the show that I'm on. Mm-hmm. So there's a platform and a pointer for people to go to, right? Internally, it's weird because for the longest time, you know, I always write down goals and things like that. I write down crazy goals. This, being a series regular on an HBO show, would be an insane goal that I would have just wrote down maybe 3 or 4 years ago as a stretch, right? As something to just achieve maybe in 15 years.
Sure.
And then when it happens, it just all happens so quickly that you almost kind of gets thrown off a little. Like now, my whole life has been revolving around paying bills and trying to achieve this goal. So now I don't necessarily have to worry about bills. I'm not rich, but like I don't have to worry about paying rent, and and I've achieved this goal that was beyond my wildest dreams to some extent.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
And that was a very scary moment. I had to go see a therapist. Like, holy shit! Like, what the fuck now? So then,
dude, you're living the secret.
Right. I guess I'm fortunate enough,
right,
as a young man to achieve my goal to the sense that, like, now I can move to the next step in the Maslow's triangle of hierarchy. You know what I mean? Of your needs.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's so many people that grinded out on a corporate job, right? Say if I would have stayed in finance, just like, oh, only if I made 6 figures a year. Oh, only if I made manager, then I'll be fine. And then they work to the point when they're 60, they're like, only if I can retire at 65, I'm fine. They retire, and they're like, now what?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I just lived my whole life, and it's a sham towards a goal that meant really nothing, you know? Or just an exterior goal. So, you know, it teaches you to, you know, work on yourself internally and be more satisfied and become a better human.
Who taught you to start writing goals down?
I had this acting teacher. You know, I think acting teachers are very important to choose the right acting teachers, especially in Los Angeles. There's so many scammers out there. Her name was Karen West. Great teacher, especially when I first started. Gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of practice. And also, she taught me a couple great habits, right? One of them is writing down goals, just putting it away in a box, right? And of course, I've seen The Secret. And I do believe in that kind of stuff, you know, to a certain degree, the laws of attraction. So she taught me to write down goals. And also, she taught me to meditate. There's been so many times where like an audition seems so overwhelming. Like imagine you're just like a whatever comic that hasn't been on TV, and now you got an audition for Walking Dead that can change your fucking life. You know, that's extremely overwhelming.
Sure.
So the only way I really was able to deal with it was I meditated. You know,
what kind of meditation you do?
There's guided meditation. I have my iPhones now. There's great apps. You know,
what do you use?
I started with this app. It's called Simply Being.
Okay.
It's like $2. Very easy. It's just guided meditation, nothing fancy.
Nice.
And I'll just sit there, you know, let it guide me for like 15 minutes. And I read a lot of books about it. Reading this book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Love that book. just about living in the moment. And I think all of that is very true about acting too. You can't be distracted. You gotta live as this guy, be in the moment, right? And also, I think I downloaded this app called Headspace.
Yeah,
pretty popular.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Very good
James
app.
too.
Yeah? Very good app. I think it's so useful whenever something overwhelms you. And so the meditation, the goal setting thing, I think those are extremely important because just like stand-up, there's people out there probably more talented than me, much more well-trained than me, but they just crack under pressure in an audition room or something like that, right? And they can't do it. And those two things were the things that was able to propel me and give me the ease and confidence to let my talent kind of shine through,
Sure. Well, I mean, I know it's a lot of hard work getting there, but the way you sort of make it sound, pretty easy.
Compared to a lot of people, I mean,
sure.
I'm like truly like blessed.
Yeah.
Like it has been fairly easy for me in comparison.
So, but have there been times along the way where you're like, you want to give up? You like,
yeah.
You go, have you bombed?
Oh man, I mean, who hasn't bombed in stand-up comedy, right?
Yeah.
But the good thing about stand-up, you bomb one night, go back tomorrow and be funny. It's fine. You don't think about it for more than 24 hours.
Right.
With acting, it's like if you bomb a Walking Dead commercial,
right.
I mean, not commercial, Walking Dead, recurring audition or something, there's not really any coming back from that. You can't.
Right.
You could wait for the next audition, but then you're just gonna let that bad experience eat you away in the next audition.
Yeah.
So
what do you do?
You try to stay positive, and I was as a stand-up. At least you have something to distract you from. You're like, I've I mean, I have said this many times. Like, well, fuck. It looks like this acting thing's not working out. Well, at least I can go back and do stand-up. I'm okay at that.
Yeah.
So there's been times I told myself that, and there was a period of time where, right after I got the guest star on Always Sunny, but for like a year or so, I just did like little spots, like maybe another guest spot here and there, but there's no progression in my career, and I was starting to freak out. I'm like, I'm in my late 20s now, I'm college educated, and my parents got a lot of high expectations of me. I gotta start doing something in my life, dude. Yeah. Like, oh man, maybe I give acting another year, see if there's any progress. Progress was what I was looking for, not a huge paycheck.
And and how are you, like, how do you know? How do you measure that? How do you know if you
How do you measure
made progress?
In acting, I mean, you could in a way that you start with a co-star, which is 5 lines or less, and then a guest star, and then recurring. So those will all be considered progress, and then series regular. And if you book a movie, that's progress. But if you just keep doing co-star, guest star, getting paid $2,000 every 3 months, it's not gonna cut it. Yeah. And luckily I got some progress along the ways that kept me going, and I always kept my overhead very low. So I didn't have any financial responsibility. I don't have kids, so nothing like that.
They're the worst.
Nothing like that.
No.
To stop me from. I mean, they're the worst. If you want to go pursue your dream that doesn't make you any money, I can see that.
Sure.
I don't have a dog, so I'm fine.
Yeah, they're the worst too.
And it was just really me against myself, and maybe against my parents' ideals and things like that.
Right.
But eventually, it worked out. I mean, all thanks to Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the biggest surprise, now being a TV star, like, you get into that, like, but what's happened that you were least expecting?
Least expecting. I knew that my life was going to change when I got that phone call about the series regular, even financially, just more stability in that sense, right? But then you get to go to a lot of cool things. Like, they never have enough seats for me to go to the actual Golden Globes or the Emmys. But like I get to go to like the after parties, where everybody was there.
That's better anyway.
Yeah, and I always freak out. I just fanboy.
Who do you freak out
at? This past year, I freaked out over Bryan Cranston.
Okay.
In those rooms, everybody's somebody there. Yeah. So usually you want to just go up to him and kind of talk to him, have a conversation. Right. But I just wanted to say, oh my God, huge fan, Breaking Bad. Dude, can I just take a picture? Like totally fanboy. You can tell, but he's the nicest guy. You can tell, like he kind of maybe didn't want to do it, but he did it anyways. Right. And like. He was so cool, and I get to go to the Game of Thrones premiere, That after party was amazing. And I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
I went with my buddy and my girlfriend, and my buddy was freaking out over all the stars from The Wire. And Elon Musk came into that premiere. I mean, to the after party.
Yeah.
I freaked out over him. You know, I didn't know what to do.
Right.
I just went up to him I was telling I'm like, dude, I gotta go shake his hand. I was like, hey man, I just want to shake your hand. I pre-ordered a Tesla 3. Really look for it. All right. And he kind of looked at me like, okay, like, what else? Like, is there something else you actually want to talk to me about? Like, he was ready to talk to me.
Sure.
But I was just so fucking nervous.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I stopped myself. I was like, thank you. And then I just left. So things like that are very cool to me.
That's awesome, yeah.
You know, I'm still able to. I don't think that goes away.
Right.
Even if you're Kevin Spacey, if you grew up watching, I don't know, like Sidney Poitier or something, like it doesn't go away that if you see him now, you're still just a little fanboy.
I think Kevin Spacey doesn't give a shit.
Right. And I'm not trying to say I'm Kevin Spacey. I'm just saying no matter what level you are,
I'm sure
you're
you're
still
right.
a fan.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest thing. And I see a lot of like celebrities like hang out with like actors hang out with athletes, and I'm sure they freak out over each other,
sure.
and now they're pals. That's the coolest thing ever, you know?
Yeah, because it's like, you know, people do stuff you can't do, like at you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like just because you're good at what you're doing, at least for me, I don't think of myself as anybody really important. It's like, I'm just fairly good at this thing.
Right.
Like, if other people recognize me and I want to take a picture, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that how much admiration I have for other people.
So how much does it change? You talked about early on, you know, this sort of brotherhood between comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that change as you...
I don't talk to any of those motherfuckers anymore. Are you kidding me? No, I'm just kidding.
Good for you. Yeah, you gotta cut them, man.
Yeah, you gotta stay real, bro.
That's right.
No, I still, like, some of my oldest friends are still this group of, like, San Diego comedians, and we still talk a lot, and...
But like when you're at the club and backstage, like, are people like...
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I'm still nobody compared to a lot of people, you know. Right. I still can't get stage time at a lot of places,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get it.
But it's now cool that, like, I go do a lot of shows at the Comedy Magic Club at Hermosa Beach. One of the best clubs ever. And good thing about that club, Friday, Saturday, I have, like, 10 comedian showcases. Yeah. Every one of them is, like, great. It's not, like, hipster people fucking around, you know? And some legends, like George Wallace, Larry Miller, you know, Tosh would show up sometimes. Yeah. So it's great to get to just be in the green room and shoot the shit with those guys.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if I'm on a show or not. Right. If I am, sometimes it's cool. Like another comedian's like, "Oh man, you're funny on that show, dude. Oh man, it's great seeing you." So now they're a fan, like, which is awesome.
That's cool.
But regardless of that, it's just fun hanging out. There's always a brotherhood, no matter if you're open micer or you're like Jerry Seinfeld. There's a brotherhood amongst comedians. We know how much we have grinded to be here. Yeah. To whatever degree we're in.
What about, like, I heard Gerard Carmichael talking about when he started kind of blowing up, and then he gets a call from, you know, I think he got a call from Cosby and, like, Eddie Murphy, like, I forget who it was, Chris Rock. Somebody called him and was like, kind of like, you know.
I called him too, he didn't pick up.
No. But, you know, he talked a little bit about, like, the veteran, like, black comedians kind of embracing him, right? And you know, taking him under their, not necessarily under their wing, but like into the circle to some extent. Like, are you getting that? Like, is Margaret Cho hitting you up? Like,
Margaret Cho is not hitting me up. I'm not as important as Gerard. Gerard has his own show, which is huge, right?
Fair enough.
But Ken Jeong did hit me up.
Okay.
And I'm a huge fan of his. Yeah. He tweeted me, and I tweeted him back. I'm like, dude, big fan of yours. He's like, dude, me and my wife love Silicon Valley. Jian Yang was like a favorite character. And just so happened, we shoot on stage 27 at Sony. Okay. They shoot at 26. So we're right next to each other. Yeah. So we went and visited. This might have been one of the greatest moments of my life, of my career. So I went there just to hang out because they have a live taping. They have a live audience and everything. And after that, there's a curtain call. They shake hands with the audience, take pictures of the audience. So Ken's wife was watching, next to everybody, and I was there. I said hi to her. She's like, "Oh man, yeah, Ken's such a big fan." Very nice lady, right? And then as I was about to leave, I just want to say bye to Ken because he was doing all the curtain call, shaking hands. So I was like, "Hey Ken, it's Jimmy. Just want to say hi." And then Ken completely freaked out. He was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Hey, get the camera! Get the camera!" He told his wife to get the camera and like took a picture of me. No way. Like all the audience people in the rafters like, "Who the fuck is this guy? Like, why is Ken freaking out?"
Sure.
So he like we should be like the leader of each other's like fan club.
Yeah.
Like he was just such a fan, and he was just so genuine and nice, and it was incredible to know somebody that you look up to is a fan of your work.
Sure.
That was seriously like the coolest moment of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that fuel you like to write or to what does that do?
Yeah, I mean it's these absolutely exciting moments that why you want to get into this business. That's not going to happen in say finance necessarily, right? So it's
not too many finance fanboys, although I'm sure I'm sure there's a few. You know?
yeah. So it's not It does fuel me for sure, but I look at it as just a nice bonus. Yeah. Even if none of these things happen, I can find a fuel to do what I do.
Sure.
I think internally that's got to be something that fuels you, and these things are just really, really awesome bonuses that happens on top of that.
Yeah, that's cool. And what about like like Ali Wong kind of is blowing up with her special and all that. Like, does that, is there like a market for Asian comedians? I guess I'm wondering, like, to what extent is that competition, or does it raise everybody's, like, how does that work?
I think a younger, more egotistical me would thought, fuck this person, I'm the only funny Asian person.
Right.
But the more you grow, you realize the pie's big enough for everyone. Yeah. It's not, if she makes it, she only opens more doors for you. Sure. Now the clubs see, now there's an Asian fan base.
Right.
Because she can't do every weekend in San Francisco. She can't do every weekend in Kansas.
Yeah.
Guess what? If she sells out weekend, then the club's going to maybe pay me more and be more likely to book me in another weekend. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because now there's an Asian maybe audience that go to that club. So it can only help. And it's
Do you think that's true too for acting, for roles?
Nah, that's not true. I mean, I hope there's not another Asian motherfucker that look like me, and take my roles. It is less true about acting. I'll say that, but acting is to a point because there's so few roles written for.
You got so serious when
Asian,
you said acting.
Did I? Acting. I went
like gravitas. All of a sudden,
James Lipton on you.
Yeah.
Acting, improv. I just try to be the best at doing what I do.
Yeah.
There might be an Asian actor. I'm sure there is tons of Asian actors that are better than me. But like Ken, right? But me and him's not gonna go out for the same roles. Right. Like he can play my dad.
Yeah.
And also
that's a good sitcom right there.
That would be great, dude. Are you kidding me? That'd be awesome. And there might be another Asian guy that looks like me or something, but I have my own thing going, like I'm good at certain things that I do that other people might not be. Like I can improv, I can do whatever. So you just try to be the best you are and try not worry about it, Yeah. There's a ton of articles out there about how minorities and Asian actors aren't getting enough work.
Sure.
I agree with that. There's just not enough roles written for us, but my thing is I never blame the system like that. That only gets you down. It's like my black friend when he gets pulled over. He's like, oh, he pulled me over because I'm black. It's like, no, you driving a 1970 shit car with half your tire flat and like 2 taillights out. That's why he pulled you over.
Yeah.
I don't go immediately. He's like, oh, I didn't get this audition because I'm Asian.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't get the audition, go take more acting classes. Go be better, right?
Yeah.
And just try to get to a point where you're so good, it's undeniable for you to hire you, even for a role that's not ethnically specified.
It's very libertarian of you.
Or I would like to say, it's just you try to put that pressure on yourself and not blame anything because that never gets you anywhere.
Yeah. What about what's the book?
Oh, the book. I mean, I'm still very early phases of it. In the process of writing a proposal, selling it, and all that.
Okay.
But it's going to be about my how I from an immigrant became an actor, the unlikelihood of that, and.
It's like an Arnold story, kind
of. Did he write a book? Yeah, but I guess.
No, I don't know. Probably.
Yeah. And then
somebody wrote it for him.
It ends with banging my maid.
Nice.
And marrying Kennedy. That's how mine is too. But like through the road, like I told you about the music.
Yeah.
The acting, the stand up. There's like other like phases of my life. I was a used car salesman. I was a strip club DJ. All that stuff that
I
led
wanted
me
to be a strip club DJ.
Who didn't, right?
Yeah, I didn't have the voice for it.
Well, you do. It doesn't. You just gotta.
I think you gotta have that voice, or
connect.
maybe there's a filter that can plug into the board. Get that.
Maybe.
Strip club DJ plug-in.
It's the voice and it's salesmanship.
Yeah.
It becomes selling lap dances, high pressure sales. That's what it is. So.
Where was that?
It was in San Diego.
Oh, okay, that's a good place for it.
Yeah. So one of the main chapters that I really like about the book that I'm gonna put it in the proposal and all that, and see what the response is the strip club chapter. Like the gangster part of my life.
Yeah.
How that came about and how that went
sells,
away.
Man.
Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's big.
Yeah.
So you talk in your act, or I've only seen the YouTube stuff.
Sure.
But I want to come to a show. But
that's all you need to see. My show's actually shit. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you just say put the best 2 minutes on YouTube.
Yeah. Everything else is just fillers.
Right. So you have a lot of jokes about hip hop.
Sure.
And I had Brandon Wardell on the show. And he's like, same thing. He's got like a lot of hip hop in his act. And so I'm curious, like, I know you're a fan, but like, is that a generational thing, or is it just, because there's no one, I don't know anyone who's on stage telling jokes about the Eagles and like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, is it hip hop just funny, or is it, what is it?
It is a very generational thing. I don't know about Brandon, but the Asian community, oddly enough, is very close to the hip hop community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, prime example. You look at Jian. You look at Eddie Huang.
Yeah.
Very hip hoppy guy,
For
right?
sure.
So I think there's something. We both feel like we may be outsiders, and that was the music we gravitated to.
Yeah.
So it became part of my upbringing, and part of who made me who I am. And what made me who I am. And, it's just like me being Asian. It's like I listened to hip-hop when I was growing up. And that, sculpted me into who I am. So, you just got to I just talk about the stuff that's true to me. And maybe one day I'll have an Eagle joke about going on a road trip with my dad about Eagle. It's not that I talk about hip-hop because I think it's funny. It's part of me and it's real.
Sure.
And I observe it more closely, or I used to at least, than maybe rock and roll.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, I never heard like the rock and roll comic. Like,
yeah,
I guess
or maybe like Russell Brand has a vibe. Like he's kind of rock and rollish.
Yeah,
vibe.
Sure. Yeah,
But
is he making jokes about like the Strokes or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think just I don't know. I don't know what that is. So you said like are you old enough that your relationship to hip hop and music is changed?
Yeah. I mean, when I was growing, I didn't grow up listening to hip hop.
Right.
But when I was growing up in high school, that's what I listened to.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about, like, people always say, "Oh, 5 best rappers. Who's your top 5?" Right? And it's like, Rakim, KRS-One. I'm like, I don't know any of their songs. Like, don't hate me. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
When I was listening, it was like Tupac, Biggie,
Right.
and then it got into the Dirty South stuff. Of course, the West Coast, Snoop Dogg, Warren G, all that, Dr. Dre stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff I like. And then I kind of, after college, you just start doing your own thing, and you don't follow that closely.
Right.
Now on my like iTunes Music, on my Apple Music, I just listen to like the top pop station and like funny songs that I like. That's kind of catchy, like "It Go Down in the DM." Now, there's no value to these songs except it's fun. Well, I mean, there's a time and place for it.
Sure.
It's always fun, but it's not necessarily gonna change anybody's life. Talking about going down in the DM or pandas.
Panda.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy.
Yeah. So it's I just can't
see it in the
follow
club though, man. It works.
right?
Yeah.
And then I was just never a club guy.
Right.
Yeah. But then you realize like all this beef, like East Coast, West Coast beef, blah blah blah, who and who, so and so. When you grow up and you get old, you realize how stupid that shit is.
Right.
You got plenty of problems in your own life.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing like the people that diehard sports fans.
Yeah.
I'm a Clippers fan.
Are you?
But if the Clippers lose, I'm not going to let it ruin my day and like, defend my position when like a Laker fan start talking shit. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like if you feel so, go live your life,
Like you don't even know any of these people.
Yeah, like people like stand like, yeah, they're like, Drake, man, Drake's the best rapper, and then the other guy's like, no, Meek Mills, man, fuck Drake. It's like, really? Why don't you do something with your own life instead of talking about these two other people that doesn't even give a shit about you? You know what I mean?
But for some reason, people are drawn to that.
Because I don't know, they have nothing in their life. I don't know what it is. It's a lot of free time, and then obviously back in the day, a lot of talk was like, "What do you think Jay-Z's best album was?" You know,
right?
It's a fun conversation, but I'd rather talk about life. Or I'd rather talk about comedy, shit that actually matters to me these days. You know,
Sure.
It's just a waste of time. Or like they say, who's better, LeBron or Jordan? Who cares? LeBron's playing with this, with the against the Warriors.
Right.
Go enjoy it. That's it. Why do you need to debate it? You think they care that you debate it? Who gives a shit, dude? Are you serious?
Of course. Plus the answer's Steph. But no, I'm like, it's ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous. I love that whole thing of like this guy who's like 50 years old and then some young guy, like, who's better?
Yeah.
He's like, well,
if Bill Russell play the Warriors now, can they beat him? Who cares, dude? Bill Russell's chilling at his house. He got 10 rings or whatever the fuck he has. You know, and Steph Curry got some Under Armour money. We're all fine, except you, the guy that's talking about it. I bet you that guy. I bet you anybody that has these conversations doesn't make over 50 grand.
Right. Yeah.
That's it's like, come on. Talk about your own life. Worry about your own shit.
That's amazing. What who inspires you? Like, what comics are you checking for?
BET Comic View as a whole.
Still now?
I don't know about still now, but you know, I don't.
No, that's what I meant. Like now, who do you like?
Yeah. I mean, Dave Chappelle really shaped, you know, my sensibility to humor when I was in high school. But I mean, who didn't watch the Chappelle Show, right?
Yeah.
Now,
you ever go back and watch it?
Yeah. Oh, I have all the DVDs, and I think it's on Hulu now.
Yeah, we see it on Hulu.
So good, dude. Yeah. Now I try to not watch as much stand-up because you know I don't really want to have other people's opinion influence me or anything like that, and nothing particularly catches my eyes. Maybe I'm just more jaded because I'm a stand-up myself.
Yeah.
So I just try to go do my own thing, and of course, like. People like Bill Burr, CK, and all that, they're doing amazing things, right? Like writing an hour every year. That's something to strive for. And I like certain comics. I like, you know, Burr and CK. I think they have a great style, and they're very, very funny. But I think I'm a little past the point where, like, it shapes my sense of humor now. Mm-hmm. That's just their style, and then I'm just trying to develop and work on my own style. Yeah,
do you run into jokes that are, like, you're like, right, and you're like, this is funny, but not for me?
Yes, I do. Like random thoughts and things like that. Now I try to write more stuff.
Can you sell those? Are there lesser comedians you could, like...
I wouldn't know if you want to be my agent.
Venmo me $25 and you can have this joke?
I can send it to Jimmy Fallon or something. he probably needs some of it.
Oh.
No, Jimmy, I would like to be on your show if you would like to have me.
People love that Jimmy Fallon. It's not for me.
It's not. I think it's going into that hipster era.
Yeah.
I'm that hip hop BET Comic View era.
Right.
Some people like they will probably say my shit is like stupid and like simple, whatever.
Right.
But I would say they stuff is too smart. Just be funny. Don't try to be smart. Don't try to be like cute. Yeah. Just be fucking funny. It's comedy. That's my thing. I think Fallon is great. He's super talented.
I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to have to entertain like that many people of that broad stroke of America.
Yeah.
Right, on a nightly basis.
That's tough.
That seems tough.
I talked to a couple writers that used to write for Leno.
Yeah.
Leno's one of my heroes growing up, you know. And at the end of the day, his show was Middle America, you know.
Right. Yeah, of course.
That's where they get the ratings.
You got to sell soap, right?
Yeah, so I talked to a writer. He said, I used to write 3 versions of a joke. A version that I really like that's kind of edgy.
Yeah.
A version that's watered down. Yeah. And then a version for Middle America.
Wow.
So and guess which jokes they took? You know, it's not that Jay's not funny. I think he's really, really awesome at what he does. But it just they have to cater to that audience, you know, that pays the bills. Yeah,
absolutely. So I know you like to write down goals. What's written and not crossed off?
Well, the immediate goals, you know, I need to buy a house. I still live in a really crappy apartment, so maybe next year I can buy a house. I am.
Where are you gonna buy?
I don't know. I'm looking.
That's an important decision in LA.
See, Santa Monica. I want to just maybe get a condo in Santa Monica. I can't afford a house in Santa Monica.
Yeah, nobody can.
Yeah, but it's just
like Mark Cuban can't afford it.
Right. I love that area. It's great. Right now, I live in like Miracle Mile. It's pretty central, but it's just.
It's good for getting to auditions.
It is great, yeah. But Santa Monica, I mean, you want to live in LA, you want to live in California because of the beach.
Yeah.
So maybe that's somewhere I'm kind of heavily considering. But other goals, pretty immediate goals. Got to do this book.
Well, let me ask you it this way:
Things like that, yeah.
When will you ever feel like you made it?
I feel like I made it now to a degree, right?
Good.
Like
we're done. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Awesome.
But you always you just want to make sure you refresh your goals, and then what's made it? To me, made it is I have enough money to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So making 40 grand a year I could have said I made it. You know, and this is like beyond. To some degree. But then after you get to this point, now you got some other goals. So make it as what? Make it as a couple getting married with a girl, Make it financially owning a big house, buying your parents a house. Mm-hmm. That will be making it in a future goal, But right now I feel very fortunate, and I'm just enjoying a lot of, what I'm doing now. And I do feel like, in the sense of that word, I have made it, at least for myself. Maybe people don't recognize me or anything, but I've made it for myself.
That's their problem.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Damn, I lost the question. That happens. That's why we don't air live.
That's all good, man.
So I can.
All these silences is good too. Sometimes when you listen,
we
it
just
makes you human.
Let it settle in.
Yeah, exactly. Let the audience think. Now just take 5 minutes to meditate.
Yeah, we usually start with a meditation.
Yeah, a guided meditation.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do that this time. Well, let's promote some shit.
Yeah.
So wait, when is Patriot's Day out?
Patriots Day is the early release is December 17th in the major cities. So I think Boston, New York, LA will be December 17th, and then January is the wide release.
Nice.
Extremely excited about that. A little nervous, it's the biggest, the first movie I've done, so, but I think the shoot was great. I think it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be a pretty powerful story. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what else is coming up?
Well, Silicon Valley, I don't know. By the time this airs, Silicon Valley, I think, might have ended third season. So I got some stand-up dates. You can go on jimmycomedy.com. Or follow me at Funny Asian Dude on Twitter and Instagram. I can't do Snapchat. And
so how
Facebook, all that.
How important is the social? Like, I know you have a bunch of stuff on YouTube, and that's how I found you. But like, is there a social media strategy?
Dude, I think I need to hire somebody, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do Twitter. I don't know. Like, I just do it whenever I have time, and I just post something like funny.
Yeah.
And a picture on Instagram. Facebook, I try to manage it because a couple of my videos blew up on Facebook, and I got a ton of fans.
Yeah.
Which is a great platform to now promote for my live shows.
Sure.
But
does that work?
Oh yeah, it does. Facebook.
You get people out to the shows from Facebook?
Man, let me tell you, man. Like, I follow the stock market. I own Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
And Twitter's been tanking.
Yeah.
And it totally makes sense because I put $50 in to promote a tweet in Twitter.
Yeah.
It doesn't sell. Barely sell any tickets. If I put $50 in Facebook, that's gonna turn into way more than $50 worth of tickets. Like, it's totally fucking worth it. That's why Facebook, they've cracked the code on advertisement or whatever algorithm they're using. It's great. Yeah. So I'm using that. And live show wise. August 8th and 9th, I'll be at the San Francisco Punchline.
Oh, cool.
So, make sure you guys... I'm sorry. August 9th and 10th, San Francisco Punchline. So you can check all that on my social media and all that stuff,
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. This has been fun. Yeah.
Dope. Well, everybody watch the show, Silicon Valley. Watch Jimmy online. Go see him live. And do come back, promote some shit.
Absolutely.
You're ready.
I will. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, that was Jimmy O. Yang. I liked it. I hope you liked it. Come back next week. We got more Rebel Radio. My man Rel, a rising star in the Jersey club scene. He's going to tell us. First of all, if you don't know what Jersey Club is, you have 1 week to do your research and figure that out. It's pretty cool stuff. I was not up on it, but now I am, thanks to Rel. So make sure you come back next week for more Rebel Radio. Peace.